Any wrestling fan will tell you that one of the greatest heel turns of all time took place on July 7th, 1996 at WCW's Bash at the Beach. Three of the biggest stars in all of WCW, Sting, Lex Luger, and the late great Macho Man Randy Savage, defended WCW's honor against the outsiders Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. Again, rest in peace. In the time leading up to the match, there was something said that a third partner, a mystery partner, was going to show up to help Nash and Hall and make it a six-man tag match. But for the most part, they wrestled the match, just the two of them. And then something weird happened. Hulk Hogan made an appearance. And if you were alive at that time, you knew that Hulk Hogan was an icon. Hulkamaniacs, young and old, cheered, stood on their feet, and welcomed Hulk Hogan to WCW, and everyone thought that their hero had arrived. Instead, Hulk Hogan delivered the leg drop heard around the world and revealed himself as the third mystery partner for Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and ultimately, that night, the NWO was formed. Now let's fast forward. March 1st, 2025. John Cena won this year's Elimination Chamber, earning the right to challenge Cody Rhodes, the WWE Champion, in the main event at WrestleMania 41. That very same night, John Cena delivered the low blow heard around the world to Cody Rhodes, turning heel for the very first time in 20 plus years. For my analysis on that match, make sure you peep my latest quick hit. Cheap plug. In the spirit of witnessing possibly one of the greatest heel turns of all time, here's my top 5 heel turns of all time. Starting with number 5. Stone Cold Steve Austin siding with Vince McMahon at WrestleMania 17. Now, for those of you who saw my last quick hit, you would probably say something along the lines of, well, you said that was what ultimately got you out of wrestling. Hold on. I said that the heel run was horrendous, not the heel turn was horrendous, because the heel turn in itself was groundbreaking. The match itself told a supreme story. No disqualification before the match began. It was added on last minute. Stone Cold Steve Austin using the $1 Million Dream submission like he did when he came into the WWF. And the sharpshooter was used by The Rock. I'll get back to that move later. And The Rock and Stone Cold took turns taking each other's finishers. The Rock used the Stone Cold Stunner and Stone Cold used the Rock Bottom. But it all added up when Vince McMahon interfered. After years of tormenting each other, Stone Cold Steve Austin being defiant to his boss, Vince McMahon being the evil boss and finding every single way he could to screw Stone Cold Steve Austin, it all changed when Vince McMahon threw the chair to Stone Cold, 16 chair shots to The Rock, 1, 2, 3, Stone Cold's your new champion, and a bloody Stone Cold Steve Austin shakes hands with Vince McMahon himself. Number 4, Prince Devitt turning on his longtime tag team partner Ryosuke Taguchi and siding with Bad Luck Fale to form Bullet Club. What started out as a faction of foreigners led by Prince Devitt, later on known as Finn Balor, and adding on wrestlers such as Doc Gallows, the Machine Gun Carl Anderson, and a pre-bloodline Tama Tonga. Yeah. Bullet Club was a mainstay in Japan, bringing popularity throughout the whole entire world to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and later on infiltrating the United States. The success of Bullet Club led to them infiltrating different wrestling factions such as TNA and ROH, and is responsible for the formation of AEW The great friendship and the great companionship that New Japan Pro Wrestling had via the Bullet Club has made it a worldwide success to this day. All because one man was frustrated with his tag team partner. Number 3, Corporate Rock. Stone Cold Steve Austin was the fan favorite to go for the WWE title, only to get screwed out by Shane McMahon, who threw wool over his eyes, making it believe that he was on his side, and later led to The Rock and Mankind having the final match for the WWE Championship. The Rock used the sharpshooter a year after it was used in a controversial match. Told you it was going to come back up. And The Rock became the youngest WWE champion at 26 years old and one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling at that time. And now the man's taking souls in 2025. Number 2, the infamous Montreal Screwjob. The real-life beef between the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart made for one of the greatest rivalries in all of wrestling, with the possibility that Bret Hart could leave the WWE with the WWE Championship and go to the rival World Championship Wrestling. Instead, Shawn Michaels used Bret Hart's signature move, the sharpshooter. There goes that move again, to beat Bret Hart, take away the WWE title, and send Bret Hart packing the WCW empty-handed. The controversial ending led to Bret the Hitman Hart and Shawn Michaels not speaking to each other for decades, but finally led to a public apology and an acceptance on a Monday Night Raw with Bret the Hitman Hart's return. All's well that ends well. Now, before I say my number 1 heel turn of all time, go ahead and pause this right here, come back to it, and make sure that you subscribe to Boom Broadcasting if you haven't already. There are a lot of great guys doing great podcasts on this very YouTube channel. We have a fun live show called Out of Pocket. My man Michael Davis, who's the president of Boom Broadcasting, he hosts that show. He has panelists. He has guests on the show. Does a heck of a job. Does the Drop the Mic Wrestling podcast on Wednesdays, where he talks wrestling. Great commentary from a great guy, great wrestling fan that he is. Even if he is a Cowboys fan, him and his dad do Dad and the Boys, where they talk about the Dallas Cowboys. We've got team podcasts as well, too. The Lombardi Party will be coming back real soon. My man Carson Williams, who's a big Green Bay Packers fan. We've got Mouthing Off with Mike, who does the nightcap after Monday Night Raw, after Friday Night SmackDown. If there's a PLE coming on, he's talking about it. The man loves wrestling. He talks a lot about it, and he'll do a great job, and you'll love it. Also, Aaron Schneider with the Gridiron Address. He's talking football. The draft's coming up. He's got a show on Sundays. It's a live show. He has panelists as well, too, talking football. He's a big football fan, and he knows what he's talking about. So make sure that you watch him. Watch the Dugout Debrief with my man Chris DeLuca. Spring training is going on. He's got that covered. He's going to be talking baseball the whole time. Make sure that you see that man. Make sure you watch his show. My man Jace Cleanso with 3 from Deep. 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Saturday. He's talking the NBA. He's been covering the NBA a lot. He had a great show this week. He's going to be coming with another show. He's doing a great job. These guys are coming with some great stuff. Make sure that you're watching them and supporting them. And give a like to Boom Broadcast and see us on social media as well, too. Keep it locked here. And my number 1 heel turn of all time. This might shock you a little bit. But WrestleMania 13, Bret the Hitman Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. The reason I put this one down is because this is the very first heel turn that I witnessed. And it just so happened to be a double turn, which means the face turned heel and the heel turned face. Bret the Hitman Hart went into this match as the babyface, but as the match went on, Bret Hart turned his back on the fans, clapped on the sharpshooter. Here we go again. And the sharpshooter applied to a bloody Stone Cold Steve Austin. Saw the courage in Stone Cold as he fought to get to those ropes, but passed out losing the match, not really tapping out, not submitting to the sharpshooter, but he passed out in agony. And Bret the Hitman Hart turned his back on the fans, and Stone Cold became a babyface, ushering in the Attitude Era. Now, watching this match as a kid, I despised Bret Hart. Bret Hart was a heel that I could not stand. I went to bed disliking Bret Hart. The Hart Foundation later on happened on that Monday Night Raw afterwards, and Bret Hart turned his back on America, made himself a despised heel. But as I grew older and I watched this match, granted it was one of the greatest matches in all of WWE, my favorite match of all time, but looking at it, Bret Hart was a very underrated heel, and I got a lot of respect for Bret Hart with how well he played the heel character after this match. Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course, being one of the most beloved baby faces in all of WWE, which made his heel run very, very rushed and unsuccessful because no one wanted to boo Stone Cold Steve Austin. Once he got that babyface role, he took it and ran with it, and it was hard for him to get out of it. So Stone Cold Steve Austin is one of those guys that you look at and say, hey, he's got to be a babyface. A lot of people loved him. He can play a heel, but he's better as a babyface. And there you have it. My top 5 heel turns of all time. Now, I want to hear from you guys. What are your top 5 heel turns of all time? Maybe yours are different than mine. Maybe they're the same. But I want to hear what you got in the comments. Not only that, I want to hear from wrestling heads that have their own podcasts. I want to hear from Mouthing Off with Mike. I want to hear from Michael Davis. I want to hear from Four Sides of the Ring. I want to hear from all you wrestling heads out there that got podcasts. What is your top 5 heel turns of all time? And hey, I'll give an honorable mention to John Cena's heel turn because that was very epic. With all that being said, guys, thank you for watching. Support Boom Broadcasting. And remember, professional wrestling is the ultimate gentleman's sport. I'm Shannon Smith, and this is Quick Hits.
Can't fall off, now they holler he'll turn, thinking I'ma sell out, talking just to feel heard. I never listen, although they say it's strictly